On the day we boarded that cruise, my wife Sarah turned to me in the middle of the luxurious atrium, smelling of expensive perfume and cheap intent, and said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "This trip is going to be unforgettable, honey. For one of us, at least." The phrase was supposed to sound romantic, a harbinger of vacation, but it sounded like the roar of a predator that was about to ambush. I am the husband, the protagonist of this story, and at that moment I was silent, but inside me something screamed. I already knew that the word unforgettable had a very different meaning in her mind. I am an airline pilot, captain of Boeing 787. My life is about managing crises, anticipating engine failures at 40,000 feet high, and reading the weather as if it were an open book about the immediate future. Precision, observation, and coolness under pressure are not personality traits, they are survival tools. Sarah, 13 years her junior, saw me as the naive millionaire she hooked. She saw the house, the car, the bank account. She didn't see the man who knew exactly when a plane is about to stall and how to get it out. Our relationship has always been an unbalanced dance. Since our marriage 3 years ago, she had dedicated herself to transforming my life into an annex to hers, a mere supporting player in her drama of ambition. I was the financier, the passport to a life that her salary as an art gallery assistant would never pay. I was never anyone's favorite, not even mine, and she realized that. She used my silence as a sign of weakness, my patience as a sign that I was easy to dominate. The idea for the cruise was hers. "A second honeymoon, just the two of us," she said, sliding her hand down my arm in a way that now felt rehearsed. I agreed, not because I was looking forward to romance, but because I realized it was the moment she would choose. I had been waiting for this climax for months. She was planning an accident. I was planning to land. Her preparations were as sloppy as an intern's emergency landing. She thought about everything, but she didn't think about the man. A pilot does not trust systems blindly. He always has a contingency plan, and I've always had access to my phone. I remembered the night I saw her laughing strangely with the screen turned over. Professional curiosity led me to look for it, and what I found was proof that I was married to a predator. She began hiding documents, whispering on the phone behind closed doors. The signs were clear to anyone who could read patterns, but for a pilot, they were code reds. Her WhatsApp conversations, accessed by software I installed months ago, were a detailed script. Her accomplice, a certain M.A., was her consultant for maritime disappearances, the upper deck of the Boreal ship. After midnight, the lighting is low and security is on the other floors. One message read, "A simple push at the right time, and the sea will take care of it. Don't forget to cry. Very much. And act like you're the most shocked person in the world." Read another audio. I could hear her voice laughing in the next audio saying, "After he falls, everything is mine." They spoke as if I were invisible. Her arrogance, the certainty that I was an easy target, was the only flaw in the plan. What she didn't know is that I had already downloaded and encrypted every message, every photo, every audio, and saved them in a folder with the name Plano Delis Cruzeiro on my phone. The cruise ran its course for 3 days, and I watched her as an air traffic controller watches a plane that is off course. I let her believe she was in control. I let her guide me to the spot she had chosen, the upper deck on the cold, dark night of the 4th day, when the sea swallowed the horizon. The moon barely appeared, and the wind was blowing strongly, perfect for the theater she was about to stage. She approached me on the gunwale, put her lips to my ear and whispered, "The sea takes those who get in the way." The sentence came out soft, but loaded with the cruelest intent I had ever witnessed. That was the climax, the turning point. At that moment, she tried to bring me closer to the edge, holding my arm with a force disguised as affection. I just took a step back subtly, keeping the exact distance for my play. At that moment, I stopped being a victim. I became an observer. Fear did not exist, just certainty. She repeated the menacing whisper, with a glint of triumph in her eye, as if she were already counting the money. I smiled, but it was the smile of a pilot who had just corrected a critical error in the navigation system. Without saying a word, I unlocked my phone. The light of the screen, cold and white, illuminated her face. I opened the folder, Plano Delis Cruzeiro. Her astonishment was immediate. The smile disappeared. The reflection of the screen showed everything. The detailed instructions of the accomplice, the photos of the exact point where we were, and the audio in which she said, in a perfectly clear voice. After he falls, everything is mine. The air seemed to have come out of her lungs. Panic rose like a wave. She turned pale. The legs failed. Her breath was caught in her throat. She was seeing the script of her own fall. She wanted to hurry. I had time. I had waited for the perfect moment, not only to save myself, but to ensure that justice was total. "Did you think I'd be so careless, Sarah?" I asked, my voice calm, almost a murmur, contrasting with the roar of the ocean. "I'm a Boeing commander, honey. I know how to read an irregular flight pattern even before the radar beeps. And you were the most irregular pattern I've ever seen," she stammered, trying to find an excuse, a lie to cover up the mountain of evidence. It is false. I don't know what you're talking about." I shook my head. The disappointment was real, but it wasn't the dominant emotion. It was the end of the line. "The ship's security guard has already received all of this," I revealed, and the sound was like a death sentence. "And the cameras on the upper deck, Sarah, not just one but 3, are pointed directly at us. I pointed them out this afternoon. You won't push me. You're going to be taken. And not by sea." She, who thought she would knock me into the sea, discovered that the only destination that awaited her was the fall of her own mask. Silent justice, the one that does not need shouting or physical confrontation, was manifesting. Her silence was louder than any storm I had ever faced in flight. Greed had been her GPS. The documents, audios, and images on my cell phone were my escape route. I could see her brain working desperately, looking for a way to reverse the situation, to turn the victim into a villain. But it was too late. I had the documents. The security guard, a large, silent man, approached our side. He was there all the time, in the shadows, waiting for my signal. He saw her try to lean me against the edge. He heard her voice, trembling, trying one last manipulation. She tried to move away, but he held her by the arm, firm, without violence. The captain was aware. The port police were warned. "Sarah," I said, looking her in the eye, "didn't you realize that while you were thinking about accident, I was just letting you dig your own grave? I didn't have to win by shouting. Sometimes the best answer is written in a notary's office, or in this case, recorded in audio and video and delivered to the authorities." She was escorted inside, her face white as sea foam. The luxury of the cruise, the scene of his ambition, became the frame of his defeat. The ship did not take her to the Bahamas. He took her to a cell. That was the outcome. A short and strong lesson. Fooling a distracted man is easy. It's difficult to beat a driver who is always reading the control panel. My revenge was not to fight. It was to let them lose alone. Her plan, her betrayal, her arrogance. Everything turned against herself. The sea did not take those who got in the way. The justice system took away who was the real threat. I was alone on the railing, feeling the wind on my face. The immensity of the ocean did not frighten me. It was a reminder that there are things far greater and more ruthless than human greed. The ship continued its course, but my life had already changed course. The peace of being free from that shadow was palpable, real. The cruise trip continued for me, but in a completely different form. The following days were marked by testimonies and the formalization of the accusations. I spent hours with the captain and the safety team, detailing every message, every audio, and explaining how I, being a pilot, was used to documenting and anticipating system failures. This professional precision was my greatest ally. I wasn't just defending myself, was presenting a case. Sarah, in turn, was confined. The initial denial gave way to furious silence and then to desperate pleas that did not reach me. She tried to use charm, crying, manipulation, but all her tools had been disabled. The accomplice, M.A., was quickly identified by the authorities of the cruise's country of origin, and international collaboration was already underway. They had greed. I had the documents. The lesson that remained for me was that calm is the greatest weapon. In the cockpit, panic is enemy number one. In life, it's the same thing. Sarah trusted my supposed inertia, my apparent distraction. She mistook silent observation for naivety. She planned a grandiose spectacle, a dramatic accident on the high seas. I planned the most discreet and uncontested capture possible. I remembered our first conversation about inheritance a year ago. I had made a new, more complex will that benefited charities and distant relatives, with Sarah receiving only a modest, conditional amount. She was furious but disguised it with a forced smile. It was there that her plan began to be devised. She thought that by eliminating me, she could contest the most recent will and reactivate an older version, which fully benefited her. She underestimated my ability to anticipate. The silence of the sea in the days that followed was a relief. I could finally breathe without feeling her toxic and manipulative presence. I reflected on how much I had allowed my life to be invaded by her ambition. I had become complacent, perhaps, but the complacency ended the moment I read the first message. Arriving at the port was my disembarkation, and hers, the arrest. I watched as she was taken away in handcuffs, covering the faces of the cameras that were waiting for her. The scene was the opposite of what she had imagined. There was no widow crying, but a criminal being exposed. The captain gave me a firm handshake. "You saved your life with remarkable accuracy, Commander," he said. The recognition of one professional to another. The legal proceedings unfolded quickly with the evidence I provided. The case was indisputable. The messages, the audio of the confession of intent, and the testimony of the ship's security guard were the proof. She planned to eliminate me, but it was she who sank in the face of evidence that she never imagined I had already discovered. My revenge was not to fight. It was to let them lose alone. The divorce was a formality, hastened by the scandal and the criminal charges. She lost what she had, lost her freedom, and lost her mask. I have regained my life, my dignity, and my peace. I learned that even in the most intimate relationships, you should never stop flying your own flight. You have to always be attentive to the control panel, ready to take charge and correct the course. Blind trust is what makes planes crash. I got back to driving soon after, and the cockpit never felt so safe. The world above, with its clouds and stars, was more honest than the world I had left behind. The story of Sarah and the crews became a high-profile criminal justice subject, just as she enjoyed the drama, but not in the way she planned. The news detailed the coldness of her plan, her accomplice, and my silent turn. It was my silence, my meticulous observation, that defeated her. I was the passenger who seemed asleep, but who was in fact in control of everything, waiting for the perfect turbulence to show who the real commander was. I realized that her biggest mistake was believing that money made me stupid. She thought my focus was on finances, not security. As a driver, safety is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter how high or how fast you fly. The important thing is the landing, and her landing was catastrophic. I was prepared for turbulence. The will which she tried to invalidate with my death was the first step in my defense. I had already warned my lawyer about the possibility of an accident. I had prepared a document, signed and testified, which indicated that in the event of an unnatural death, all my assets would be transferred to a trust fund that she would not have access to, and that my lawyer should open an immediate investigation. She, who focused on the perfect crime, neglected the obvious. The victim was already playing chess while she was playing checkers. I realized that I didn't have to win by shouting. Silence in this case was my most potent weapon, my secret flight plan. The experience left me with a clear vision of what justice is. It is not the loud and public confrontation. It is the accuracy of the facts. It is cold documentation and anticipation. It is knowing that the truth, no matter how hard they try to hide it, always emerges. Whether it is on the dashboard of a Boeing or on an unlocked cell phone on a dark deck, life went on, cleaner, lighter. I learned that the greatest luxury is not money, but the peace of mind of knowing that you are not anyone's target. I took back control of my life and focused on what really mattered. The feeling of flying, of being in charge, of staying calm when the world outside is in chaos. The months that followed were of reconstruction. The prosecution of Sarah and her accomplice was relentless. They tried to claim that I was the obsessive, but the strength of the evidence was overwhelming. The messages, the audio in which she lied about my future accident, and the testimony of the ship's security guard were irrefutable. Sarah, in the courtroom, looked like the shadow of the woman who whispered threats in my ear. Arrogance had disappeared, replaced by fear. She tried one last move, an emotional appeal to her youth and my supposed wealth. It was useless. The judge was clear. Ambition is not a mitigating factor, but rather the root of a heinous plan. She was convicted. The accomplice too. Justice did not take long, which was a relief. They wanted to hurry. I had time. Time for me was not only my ally, was my strategy. I waited for the right moment, the climax of her plan, to make my move. I didn't go to the final judgment. I was on a transatlantic flight in the place where I feel most at home, among the clouds and the controls. My lawyer called me with the verdict. I smiled. It was the kind of smile that only true liberation can bring. This experience taught me to be wary of excessive praise and grandiose gestures. Danger is often disguised as romance or affection, but above all, it taught me never to underestimate my own capacity for observation and reaction. I'm a pilot. My life depends on me always being one step ahead of danger. And in Sarah's case, I was not just a step away, but miles away, in complete control of the situation. My story is proof that silent justice is the most powerful. I didn't have to shout or threaten. I just let her greed and arrogance do the work. She self-destructed. I just provided the demolition tools. I went back to my routine, but with a new perspective. Every takeoff, every landing, every system check reminded me of the importance of vigilance. The flight deck was a haven of precision and order. The life she tried to destroy became more valuable. I sold the house we shared and donated a significant portion of the money to charities that help victims of domestic violence and emotional abuse. It was my way of turning evil into something useful. Money was not the point. Freedom was. I was no longer Theric and naive husband. I was the man who survived his own ambush, using his wits and his professional training as a shield and sword. The story is told to show that the best crafted plan can fail if the executor underestimates the target. Sarah thought I was just a bank account. She didn't see the pilot, she didn't see the strategist. She saw only the obstacle, and she focused so much on knocking it down that she didn't see that she was being watched all the time. Sometimes the best answer is written in a notary's office, or, in my case, documented on a cell phone and delivered to the police. I didn't fight, I documented it, and documentation won over lies. The sea took away her fury, her ambition, and her plan. But the sea did not take those who got in the way. The sea has only witnessed the fall of a mask. The only thing that sank that night was her criminal career. My journey continued at cruising altitude without turbulence. If it were you, would he have signed a silent agreement with her after reading the messages, or would he have let her reach the climax of the plan so that the evidence would be incontrovertible?